Hi there, my name is Ben, and I am a rather new member to Emanuel. And when my husband Marshall and I started church shopping after we moved to Connecticut about a year and a half, 2 years ago, there were certainly things I think both of us were looking for in a faith community. And I think this year's Stewardship campaign theme puts it nicely for what anyone would really want when they're joining. Building of new relationships, belonging in a faith community, and becoming something that we couldn't become alone as a couple. Yet I brought an added layer to the process of looking for a congregation. As many of you know, and was dramatically revealed when I stepped in for Pastor Joanna in January, I too am a pastor of the ELCA. Before moving to Connecticut, I served a congregation on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and now I currently serve the office of the presiding bishop, Elizabeth Eden. And I was excited when we found Emanuel because we found a congregation and a church that was active and doing ministry outside of its four walls. It was investing in future generations of the church and was generous with their time and their resources. In my role at the ELCA, I speak with individual donors and congregations throughout the Mid-Atlantic and New England and Northeast about generosity. And I steward generous gifts to all of the ELCA's ministries, ELCA World Hunger, Lutheran Disaster Response, missionaries, international women leaders, the list goes on. So while I usually get to go around to visit with donors and pastors and congregations and say, thanks to you, the ELCA is able to do Christ's work and witness in the world near and far, it's something kind of special to be able to say to my own congregation, of which I am a member, not thanks to you, but rather thanks to us, the ELCA is able to do Christ's work and witness around the world, near and far. And I'm sure you are all aware that when we give our offering, we know it goes to sustain the incredible ministry happening right at Emanuel in Manchester on Church Street. And also, as this week's bulletin insert suggests and explains, that Emanuel gives generously to our own neighbors through MAC, the Manchester Area Conference of Churches, of which Emanuel was a founding member. And they have their feeding and clothing ministries, which we get to support. As well, our money goes to the New England Synod, and from that to the ELCA church-wide organization. It would be difficult for a congregation our size to serve 22,000 meals at the Manchester Community Kitchen or support a clothing store used by over 5,000 people, provide seminary scholarships for international students abroad, support emerging worshiping communities in the States, fund camps that support marginalized youth. But we, Emanuel Lutheran, are able to share our abundance and pool our resources to love and serve our neighbors in ways that no individual and that no congregation could do alone. Through our faithful act of giving, we expand our participation in God's life-changing, world-shaping work in our own community and around the world. So with my job, I am very near to this incredible work. I hear the stories of impact on a weekly basis, and it is the best part of my job. So if you're ever curious or you need a boost in your week, find me on a Sunday and let me tell you about how your church stepped up overnight to support Ukrainian refugees fleeing on buses and on trains. Let me tell you about how we fund climate-smart crops that combat the historic drought that's currently happening in Africa. Let me tell you about how we educate young women that go and return back to their countries and serve them in new and different ways because of the education they received. I give God great thanks for the incredible ministry happening near and far because of us, the faithful at Emanuel Lutheran. This week, we will all have the opportunity to prayerfully consider our offering to Emanuel for 2024. And I hope that sometime this week you'll have an honest and faithful conversation with your entire household, regardless of age, about why you choose to support Emanuel financially, about why you believe in the work and witness of this church, and about why you trust that God will do amazing things when we lean into generosity. And as you read these materials that will come in the mail, and as you fill out that intent card for 2024, I hope that you recognize it as an act of embodied prayer, a prayer for a better world, a prayer for neighbors to be provided for, a prayer for Christ to come alive in our worship space, and a prayer for the Spirit to continue to move and dance among us. See, when Marshall and I moved to Connecticut, away from a lot of what we knew to be true and what we knew in general, I trusted that God would lead us to a place that would welcome and embrace us, put us to work and use our gifts, and allow us to see ourselves in something larger. It was a prayer, essentially, to build, to belong, and to become. So thank you, dear church, for being an answered prayer and a place for us to call home. Amen.